Good morning and welcome to everyone joining us today for the launch of We're International Transforming Lives. My name is Jamie Arrowsmith. I'm Director of Universities UK International, and I'm delighted to have the privilege of chairing today's webinar. First, just a little bit of housekeeping. The webinar is being recorded. And just in terms of the running order today, we'll hear from colleagues at UKI. And I think most importantly, we'd all agree from two of the fantastic students that have contributed to the campaign with their stories. So we're joined today by my colleague, Andy Howells, Assistant Director for External Affairs at Universities UK International, by Charlotte Eller, a BSc Medical Physiology student from the University of Leicester, and Charles Nwachukwu, an MSc student studying public health and community wellbeing at Anglia Ruskin University. Both Charlotte and Charles feature in the campaign launch video, which will play for the first time shortly. We'll then have a short Q&A before we draw the session to a close around about 10 a.m. But before we start, I just wanted to provide a little bit of context for this part of the We're International campaign that we are launching today. I'm sure everyone joining us will know that We're International is a very well-established brand and campaign. Indeed, it's now 10 years old, and today's launch is just one of the ways in which it demonstrates it's still relevant, but also is being reinvigorated for the situation and challenges we find ourselves in today. And it's with a deep and profound sense of thanks and gratitude that I do want to acknowledge the many partners involved with the campaign, both now and over the past 10 years. Colleagues at UKISA, of course, and at Wheeler, colleagues at London Higher, Study UK, Universities of Wales and University of Scotland. And I'm really delighted to say that today we're supported by some 70 UK universities and a host of commercial partners that are helping to amplify these sort of shared messages that we have. So a big thank you to Study Group, Finder Uni, UCAS, IDP, NC UK, QA, and many, many other partners who are helping us to deliver this campaign. It's a truly collaborative effort. But it is one that I am afraid to say is most definitely needed. Though the campaign is a decade old, the issues that it was established to help address remain only too real and too prevalent. As we've seen, certainly over the past year, there's been a return to some extremely unhelpful rhetoric and political and media discourse. The international students that choose the UK and offer so much to our universities and to our communities are somehow being framed as a problem for the UK. But I think in the last year, the work that we have done with our partners has really helped to challenge this perception. Over the past year, independent polling commissioned by Universities UK International has shown that the public are, in fact, overwhelmingly supportive of international students. When surveyed, only 1 in 10 respondents wanted to see numbers reduced from the current levels. The vast majority wanted to see more international students. I think given some of that political and media narrative, that was quite incredible to find. And it points to a really high level of support. People of the UK want to continue welcoming and hosting international students. And our work with HEPI and Kaplan International later on in the year really demonstrated the economic impact that a single cohort of international students has to the UK. It's worth over £40 billion to the economy. And I think, again, that is welcome. And both that polling and the work on economic impact has helped UKI and our partners make the case to government that we should continue welcoming and hosting international students. Government was certainly convinced of the importance of sticking to the ambitions that they'd set out in the international education strategy. But I think that as a community, we all recognise the wider value that every international student brings to the UK. They're not simply a number or a pound sign. Each student has a history and a story and a dream and an ambition, and they're choosing the UK as the best place to help realise that dream. And to see the benefits that we garner from hosting international students as purely economic is, I think, to do them and to do us an immense disservice. And that's where today's campaign launch comes in. We're International Transforming Lives is really about recognising and celebrating those stories. So I do want to thank everyone for joining us today, and particularly to Charlotte and Charles for sharing their stories. I'll end there, and just to say a little bit more about the campaign, though, I'll hand over to Andy Howells, the Assistant Director for External Affairs at Universities UK International. Andy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. And yeah, it's been an absolute privilege for my team and I to lead the reinvention of this campaign. And the objectives of which are twofold, really. First of all, to help arrest and reverse the decline in how welcoming a study destination the UK is perceived to be by international students. And secondly, to continue to bring us all together to tell the story of the valuable contributions, whether social, civic, cultural, that international students bring to the UK. And when I think of We Are International, I think that what it means is significantly linked to our mission and purpose as a sector, which is to bring people from different backgrounds, race, religions, values, beliefs, nationalities together in spaces where they're empowered to exchange their views freely. And I think for me, that's how we grow knowledge and broaden understanding in the world. And importantly, that's how we transform lives and in turn send those lives out into the world to help change it for the better. And the concept of the campaign is linked to that. It's linked to the idea of transforming lives. And we want to empower the voices of international students, not just to talk about how welcoming the UK is or to talk about the contributions they make to their local communities through volunteering, for example, but also to tell us and everyone else how they're having their lives transformed and whether they may have aspirations in the future once they graduate to go out and do good things in the world. And this phase of the campaign will run from today until International Students' Day on the 17th of November. And we're going to pop a link in the chat to a toolkit, a campaign toolkit of information on key moments, key messages, co-branding assets. Please join in, use that toolkit to make this campaign your own. And as part of the campaign, we've worked with 10 fantastic international students at different universities in the UK, 2 of them being Charlotte and Charles, who are with us today. And we've done 2 things. We've created a short hero video, which we'll play shortly, where you'll be introduced to all 10 of those students. But what we're also going to do from now until the 17th of November is we're going to also launch at different points in time sort of longer student videos in a docu-series style with each of those individual students as well. So I hope that there's lots to look forward to, and please do, as I said, join in and create your own content and be part of the campaign as well. But for now, I'm delighted to be able to introduce the first play of our short campaign hero video. So enjoy. Thank you.
I've only ever wanted to come to the UK.
The UK is the best place to study in the world, and it felt like a natural choice for me.
We saw it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
The education is simply unmatched.
I'm actually the first one in my family to go to university.
I chose to study in the UK because it's so prestigious. Did you know that 1 in 4 world leaders studied here?
Even though I was really nervous to start a new life in a new country, I knew I have to really go for it.
When I came here in the beginning, it was hard because I miss my family so much.
I must admit, my journey here wasn't smooth.
I struggle with the weather. I mean, like, if there is 4 seasons in one day.
I was really excited to start university and be more independent.
Everyone made me feel super welcome straight away.
I feel very safe in the UK.
I had so much support from my university.
I arrived, I unpacked, and I thought, I'm here, I'm free, let's go get it.
I feel like I've grown massively as a person.
During pandemic, I carry out my studies and also I worked as a nurse in intensive care.
I want to be a positive role model for other females, especially for my country.
I actually received an award from my university for spending over 50 hours of my time volunteering. This really makes me happy.
University has been transformational for me.
I volunteer at refugee group to give back to my community.
Studying in the UK hasn't just benefited my education. I'm a completely different person now.
I've studied both my undergrad and postgrad degrees here, and I want to stay on and do my PhD.
My hopes for the future are that I'll get a job from a UK company so I can stay here for a few years.
I want to give back to my community and care for people in the NHS.
My ambition is to become a humanitarian engineer.
I want to help save lives.
I am passionate about education. I want to make a positive impact on future medical professionals.
I'm studying law as my dream is to protect the rights of war crimes victims in my home country of Ukraine.
I want to make my daughter proud.
If I had one piece of advice to others considering the UK, it's simple. Come.
We believe education has the power to change lives.
I'm grateful every day that I decided to move here. You'll find your place here. I promise.
Thanks very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I saw lots of hearts and thumbs kind of flashing up on the screen there. I think Jamie might be having some technical difficulties rejoining the Teams webinar, so I'll just fill for him. Oh, no, there you go. I'll hand back over to you, Jamie.
No, thank you, Andy, for that kind filling there while I was having one or two problems with the University's UK Wi-Fi. But no, well, thank you so much for those videos. I was able to see all of the hearts going up just before my my internet stopped working. So Luke, thank you so much for those videos, and Charlotte, Charles, thank you for joining us today and for sort of sharing your sort of stories. I think a really kind of powerful video, and if I can, I'd just sort of like to sort of start by asking you a sort of couple of questions about the campaign, and then maybe some of your experiences in the UK. But I thought that the first question really is, could I begin asking you why you chose to get involved in the campaign and what you wanted to get across as sort of your key message? So maybe Charlotte, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. That was actually my first time watching that, and it's really cool, and I can't wait for the rest of it to come out. I decided to join it because, first of all, I was contacted with like a campaign like this, and I thought, international students, I am one, and it's actually been 3 years since I came to the UK, and I've been in Leicester, so I thought it's great time to like kind of tell my story forward. And I also thought I would kind of give a very different background. Like, I haven't really met a lot of Finnish people in the UK, probably given that we have only 5 million population. So I thought, you know what, international student from Finland sharing her story, and it sounded really nice. And I think when back then I was applying to the UK, like there's a lot of things that I wish I knew from other international students that already studied here. So I thought, it's my turn to kind of give back to future international students. So that's why I got involved.
No, thank you. And maybe we'll come on to that in a second about what some of those things you wish you'd have known as an international student choosing the UK. But Charles, I guess the same question to you as well. What were your motivations for sort of getting involved with the campaign?
Yeah, so the video was really nice. I can't wait to see the rest as well. So yeah, I was an international student ambassador for my school, and yeah, we did a lot of promotion for my school, and through me, a lot of people came to my school from Nigeria, and when I was contacted to be a part of this, you only felt right because there's a lot of studies out there about what studying in the UK is. There's the good and the bad, and I just wanted to share an honest, story and experience. To be honest, it's been a busy 1 year. There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of learning, and then you know, it just felt right to share the story, and it was really genuine, and I was happy doing it.
No, thank you. And I think that's fantastic just to hear that, really wanting to sort of tell your story and your perspectives as well. And I guess a sort of another question to both of you. We hear a lot about the importance of study destinations being welcoming. So what do you think is really important in making the UK a welcoming destination for international students? And is there anything we need to do better? And Charles, maybe start with you this time.
If I heard you correctly, you're asking if there's anything you could do to make it better.
Yeah, what's important in terms of having a welcoming, being a welcoming destination for an international student? And is there anything we could do better?
Yeah, I don't know how much you can do about this, but it's been great so far till the Home Office started making some changes. The first on the list being the fact that you can come with your family, for people who's married and kids. So it's going to be a lot of because you're separating people from their family, and that's a huge factor. So if people are going to consider destinations for their studies abroad, and then especially when you have other countries who are giving them those benefits, like Canada can let you come with your spouses and your kids. So those are actually one of the criteria for people to consider. I mean, I'm not married, I don't have a kid, but if I was, and then I was looking to study abroad, I would preferably go to a place where I can take my wife and my kids along. Well, the cost of living is hitting everyone, not just international students. So, generally, I think that's just top of my list.
No, thank you. I think that's a really important point about family and those kind of connections as well. And Charlotte, from your perspective, what's important in terms of having a welcoming, being seen as a welcoming destination?
Yeah, I thought of two things actually, and one of them being what this thing is about, basically like showcasing already existing international students so that the new ones or like people that are thinking to come can see that there are other people who've done that and kind of walk through the same process to give them kind of that reassurance. The other thing that I can think of is like future opportunities because like, you know, this is my final year at university. I'm already thinking about the next step and I'd really like to stay in the UK so that the country like kind of giving examples of possible future destinations and careers and jobs can be really like, you know, giving them the extra reassurance that there's something, if you want to stay, there's something you can do afterwards as well.
No, and again, having those sort of long-term opportunities is sort of so important. I think that you both sort of touched on kind of things you wish you'd have known as well. And Charlotte, I think you touched on this. So what advice would you have for any international students that are currently looking towards the UK? What do you wish you'd have known when you were choosing the UK?
I think it's partly also plays into my arrival in 2020. That was like one of the most uncertain times, and you know, moving a whole country on my own in a time like that was like really uncertain. But I've done it. So the things that I wish I knew is like first of all, I'm not alone. Like I'm moving countries, but I'm sure that there's a lot of international students doing the same thing, and we will find a community somewhere here. The one thing that like I talk about in my video as well, like the one thing I really do thank my university that for providing me was very simple, but like they picked us up from the airport. And like for students traveling like 4 or 5 suitcases on their own, like that's actually like really big. So I think my advice here would be that like your university and wherever you're applying to know that you know there are international students coming in that way and they are there to help you out. So do reach out. You will not be in this process on your own.
No, thanks. And that's such an important point for us as well in the university community. That kind of first engagement is so important in helping you feel sort of welcome. And Charles, any reflections from your perspective? Is there any kind of anything you wish you'd have known or any advice you would like to give to international students that are choosing the UK?
Yeah, one advice for potential international students, I'll advise them to be open-minded, you know, to open to a couple of opportunities and possibilities out here. Some people just come to school. I mean, it's enough. Primarily, the reason for coming here is education, but there are like, because I did volunteering and I got experience, and then there's a lot of networking in that area, and I was able to meet a lot of people. It increases my employability, but that's just a very few percentage of international students who do that, because most people just come focus on their studies, and then most of the times you don't necessarily end up in the field where you signed up for, and you never know where these opportunities could come from. And the thing that I wish I knew before I came is that because my course was 1 year. 1 year really passes so fast. A lot of things I would have done, I just felt I'll do in the end, but then all of a sudden the end just came, and then but it's all good. So 1 year passes so fast, but then be open to other opportunities and possibilities. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. So yeah, make the most of that time from the very beginning then, because that and Charles, you just sort of touched on the volunteering work that you did, and I know it's something you talked about in your videos as well. Was that important to you to sort of be able to make a contribution to the community in which you were living as well?
Yeah, it's just about my ideology. My volunteering experience, my volunteering journey started in Nigeria back 2014. It's just like my idea of leadership and civic responsibility. I feel that everyone is responsible for growing the society or making the society better. I mean, if everyone can just contribute to from their different fields and perspective, so I think is something that everybody needs to do. Because like the volunteerings that I did they were social impact projects, something that helped improve the community at the time. So in as much as I got experience and I met new people, develop my skills and all of that. It was a way to also help build the society. And I also have the idea of global citizenship. So referring to the community and society doesn't necessarily mean where I come from. Is the place where I find myself at the time. So it was something that I saw and I resonated with it immediately, and then I signed up for it. So.
No, fantastic. And as you say, gave you access to that kind of network of a much wider range of people sort of within the community as well. And Charlotte, if I could just have sort of one question of each, one final question of each of you. If there was one thing you would say that you have gained from your experience in the UK, if you can summarize it in one thing, what would it be?
As a challenge in one thing.
Or the most important
Charles,
thing.
yeah, I think Charles just said one thing where he's like, you never know where you're gonna end up. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. So it's really important to do all variety of things. Like my degree is in medical physiology, but I just completed a year in industry placement year in student recruitment, and this really has nothing to do with my degree. And in that year, I really fell in love with that work. It's also where I kind of gave back to future students applying for the university, giving my own experience. So I think one thing that I've learned in the UK, I have to say with Charles that get involved. There are loads of things that you might be interested in, and you never know what you like and what you love until you kind of try. So say yes to opportunities is what I've learned in the UK.
No, fantastic. And Charles, so final word to you. Anything that you would like to highlight as the sort of the key thing that you've gained, or the key lesson that you would give to share with any sort of prospective international students?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the same thing. I'll say there are no limitations. There are endless possibilities and opportunities. You just have to be available and willing to take them. I mean, that's it for me, really.
No, well, thank you, sort of Charlotte and Charles. I think we're approaching the end of time now, but again, just to reiterate, thank you so much for your contribution to the campaign and for sharing your stories sort of with us. I think we're all kind of incredibly excited to see all of the videos as they're coming out from all 10 of the sort of the students that have shared all of their stories and been sort of willing to sort of contribute to the campaign. So thank you so much for being with us today and for sort of answering a few questions. And I think that points around making the most of opportunities, but also there are things that we can do as a university community as well to help international students settle from the very beginning. And I think that's a lesson that we all need to take sort of incredibly seriously. I'd just like to end by saying sort of thank you to Andy and the team that have brought this project to completion. It's been a huge amount of work, and we're really excited to see it launch. But particular thanks as well to our partners, to the universities that are supporting the campaign. I know many of you are represented on this webinar today. To our partners that I've already mentioned, Wheeler, UKISA, London Higher, Study UK, Universities Wales and Universities Scotland, but also that wider community of stakeholders as well that are providing a huge amount of support, including Study Group, Finder Uni, UCAS, IDP, NC UK and QA. We genuinely could not hope to deliver this campaign without your insights, your enthusiasm and your support. I would just end by saying to continue this conversation, please do join us at our International Student Recruitment Conference on the 19th of October, where we will live launch a new student story video. And where I'm delighted to say you'll be able to hear from the We Are International campaign co-founder, the wonderful Ruth Arnold, will be joining us on that day as well. So please share the videos, engage with the campaign, and help us make sure that our message is heard loud and clear, that we are truly international and together we can transform lives. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to Charlotte and Charles again, and goodbye and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.